What up, Schmoedown Rockers? Dungeon Master Tyler. Rockamoose Tyler. I'm Tyler. Oh, Schmoedown Rocks. And we're going to be talking on my thoughts on some summaries on what's happened since the Schmoedown Versus, which officially went public, so that's why I have it here and not when the pay-per-view came out. Not spoiling it for people who haven't had the luxuries of doing so, just to be nice. No, it probably don't matter with that as much, even though it did for some of us. And then the final, the end of the semifinals, leading up until the pay-per-view that would follow. But I'm not going to be able to talk about that until next week. Trust me, I have some thoughts on that. I was hoping to, have it laid out raw before pay-per-view, and it just didn't work out. All I could say is, in terms of the versus Schmoedown Versus, Oyama Irwin went down to the wire, and it was just Irwin's just managed to be that good, and Oyama wasn't able to get it, but Oyama still has something in his back pocket, and that's his win at the free-for-all for a title shot. So he's not hurting nearly as badly in this case. So whether or not he wants to use it, now it's up in the air of what it's going to be, and if they're going to make it a Money in the Bank surprise situation, which wouldn't surprise me if they plan on doing that. Like Sam Levine probably did in the first Collision. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's safe for the Collision. We'll see. For what match, I don't know. If he plans on cashing in for a final exam to finally get teams titles, that'd be interesting. Don't know how that's going to work in their favor. It could wind up being a waste if they did. So more than likely, he'll probably wind up using it for IG. Though more than likely singles, for being honest. And then Bateman Roca too. Oh. Of course, the winner of that would wind up facing Irwin at this point. Roca did give it a match. And it's given how many times we've been apparently trying to do martial arts movies, you'd think, and for his study sessions, you'd think Ben would have known something. Though the fact that, this time we didn't have the bad luck we had against corruption. And the fact that somebody who usually shows up at study sessions wasn't there, and but that person did show up. My theories are right. She is the Dungeon's Lucky Charm. Because Ben won his match, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Also, if you're wondering why I'm wearing the Smasher shirt, if I hadn't already made that clear, and if the thumbnail didn't make it clear, he got out of surgery. Shame he wasn't going to be able to be awake and recover enough time to, actually get drafted. But also announcements of things I can at least say in terms of Dungeon, that because of some strange reason of being dropped by Kate, because he was in the Dungeon, but he never got to play yet. And I guess for some reason his scheduling conflicts with her didn't work out yet somehow, some way. Kaiser figured out his scheduling and managed to work out something to bring him onto the Dungeon and have, after dropping Jericho and Flickinger, who apparently wanted to be in the deadweight. In fact, the fact that those two were the only ones dropped meant that someone who also had a match from the Dungeon that hadn't had a chance to play yet, the only other person that didn't get involved in all this that hadn't played yet, Flickinger, unfortunately, those two just happened to not care enough to invest themselves. Then Vliet's here to stay. I'll get to that. Luckily, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to him and Benson for that match, because Lord little did Van Vliet know his prediction would end within his pre-match interview would lead to a legitimately the same kind of outcome of a match. Though maybe not in his favor, but I'm not surprised given, Benson, we waited so damn long for him since last season, and we finally get to see it, and it kind of pays off for the most part, or at least by his round 2 it started to. Felt bad for Vliet in that regard, but he put up a fight. Put up a fight and surprisingly managed to get his 3 and 5. Unfortunately, both players missed their 2s. Somehow, some way. In Van Vliet's case, he had a definitely much better round 5 than he did, because as a result, it led to a sudden death, which put out more of an interesting thing, even though he somehow missed the wrestling one, which is a bothersome for him, and bothers me a little bit in that regard. But he admits that he does, and he's going to rectify that, especially given how much Kaiser's been putting out wrestlings in film, doing a lot on the wrestlers in film slice, so within the dungeon, so cracking the whip on that. I decided to say screw it and do that. And plus, now, as you know, I mean, it already happened over the weekend. We already know what the undercard turned out to be, which shouldn't have really been undercard because it was a 5-rounder. And that was, of course, Gold Leader winning his match against Burkett because, well, Burkett unfortunately decided to go to the multiple choice on his round 2, and it did, fortunately, became the thing that initially cost him the match. But for the most part, both players, aside from that little thing, both players technically played perfect. And Gold Leader had been throughout up until, I'm not gonna get to that. I'll save that for later, just in case. Even though everybody else who's seen pay-per-view at this point has already spoiled it themselves, just whatever. Also, Buck got canceled? What? Over something stupid? Like almost everything that cancel culture tries to find? Buck's a good dude. I'm hoping he gets to come back when this whole thing blows over. Such bullshit. Such fucking bullshit. But anyways. Sorry, long day. The hot bang, and that's why you're hearing AC running. But yeah. And luckily that match was better. Those matches were better than the unfortunate match we wound up seeing. Luckily, it's not to the extent of a level that... I mean, we had a worse match earlier in the season-ish. This wasn't like what happened with Marisol and Somerville. I mean, the match was something, but wasn't something to brag about. Plus, both... I mean... From Spicy to Siren Sabrina, that was fine. But really? You want to change Cleve Wiggins from the pimp to Sweet Tea? That was weird enough to choose, but that wasn't even the problem here. It was how the match became as a match. And at this point, Sabrina... I mean, it hurts her more because since your boyfriend's an IG player. And Trek is like one of his strengths. I believe. Maybe not to the extent of, like, say, Ethan Irwin, apparently, surprisingly, but presumably was. And also, like, Smash didn't do too bad in that Trek match, even though he didn't exactly win. He just had some hiccups around one, and then everything else was fine in that exhibition. But, it is what it is, and Ethan really proved he's quite the Trekkie, and I know so is technically Burrow, and for sure someone who legitimately was served our country through the legitimate USS Enterprise. It's a legit ship called that. So, of course she's got no Trek. Trek and Mara, so is what it is with that. But Sabrina, I mean, both players had a terrible round 1, but Wiggins had one hell of a round 2, and both players wound up in opponent's choice. It was one of those situations, so I mean, she's yet to truly get a chance to show she can play. I mean, she kind of sort of did show that she could kind of hang, but Mancuso kind of did away with that. And I mean, since he was dungeon at the time, I was happy with that. We needed whatever we could get just to not be completely dead last that season. Jesus. Ugh. But yeah, Sabrina just... I have a feeling at this point, if she wasn't given this match, I don't even know if she did wind up getting dropped from the Corky Mercs or not. Or if she stayed on. I don't know. Because after that match, I wouldn't be surprised if she did get dropped. Jesus. And wound up in FCL instead. She might have to work her craft there, it seems. Or at least have her boyfriend help her with that. I don't know. You got your work cut out for you, girl. Brandon probably had a hard time talking to you at that point. At least he won the match. And despite Parker, but it's Parker, he was never going to be prepared for that buzzsaw. So, and then beating Chance was fucking awesome. If I hadn't already said that the last time. And yeah. I'll get to that too, eventually. But anyways, match making out. It's a shame he wasn't able to get out in time, and then of course after dropping them and getting him, and then getting the wise guy, Battaglia. I mean, we needed them. Welcome to the both of you to the dungeon. Dungeon Master is pleased. Kaiser's decisions. At this point, he shows we're playing dungeon ball hard, and it shows. So that's my thoughts. Oh, it's a long day. I'm sorry. There's nothing to do with well, even though one of the matches could be honorable, but clearly Williams apparently played better in her Black History Month match. But it doesn't seem like Bugs were that far out when it came to normal trivia, and the luck just didn't happen. And I don't know if she can. I mean, either player coming out of this doesn't look good either way. I mean, she looks somewhat good on some form of record, but the way it came about makes me wonder if Sabrina had a shot at proving she could at least make it past it or made it into round 3. To where they wouldn't have got the extra point that they might have needed in this match. The corruption probably did wind up getting, and now Corky Merc's chances kind of went. Unless by some happenstance he beats Kelly. Because he's going to need to not screw up in his match against Alex. He was lucky Alex was not the demon that he used to be. And he needs to be if he thinks he's going to be able to hang in the next Star Wars tournament. If there is supposed to be one at this point, I don't know. But the normal one's done. We have eventually we're going to have one down the line. Eventually an Ultimate Interunion tournament will be down the line. An Ultimate Teams tournament will probably be down the line. And hopefully in studio. Which it's looking like everything might be starting to play at the one bar that in Los Angeles that it seems that usually the Fat Man Beyond that Smith and Bernardin do for their podcasts with on live, they might be starting to do that. He might be using connections to him to help get them there. And that'll be our studio for the time being until a legitimate studio is built. If ever. I don't know. But it'd be awesome to have it there. See it there and all that. But in doing so, it makes it come off like a live bar of trivia, really. Which, Schmoedown's more than that, but whatever. Overall, I enjoyed the matches. I'm a happy dungeon master, and yes, and even seeing his interview, I'm very happy Van Vliet is to stay, and I knew he gave a shit the moment he tried to even bother to show up in one of Ben's Patreon matches, like within a month or so prior to this match airing. So, and at least he had an idea of what he was getting himself into, and it's not like he didn't probably do study sessions with the dungeon. I just wish he was involved, like it seemed So to me, maybe not to the extent that Wit or even Video Drew have managed to show themselves to be in the dungeon. As both in their own ways, even despite what their win-loss ratios, which I still feel bad for Adam Witt. But it seems that, same with Janine, with the players. I don't even know if Sabrina's ever going to be that kind of player, and maybe it'll take some going through the ground of the FCL to do it. Who knows at this point? Since the FCL is going to be kind of making up as a minor league at this point. Overall, I enjoyed these matches. I would talk about predictions, but the match has already happened by the point of this recording. So, but I initially will say my initial things at that point, and still would have been Gold Leader and Parker, and yeah, Parker, for obvious. I mean, duh, but Gold Leader, it's Gucci versus Reason. So, but I wouldn't have been surprised if Harper had. So, what did you guys think of the matches talked about here so far? But hopefully you're happy like me and smashing center, hopefully coming back by 2021. Finally seemingly smashing cancer. Mwah. Oh my god, we're gonna get a Zoom meeting for an actual match. Ah, shit! What you guys think? Leave a comment below, let me know. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rockin'. This is Tyler's Movies. This is Tyler. I'm Tyler. If you smell what the movie trivia Schmoedown. Schmoedown rocks. Also, link in the description below to those Rocks Up Entertainment, so on and so forth. The Dungeon, home of the five-time singles champion, Dangerous Dan Morrow, and the future teams champions, Danger Zone. Zone is cooking. We dig it. Now can you dig that, suckers? Also, link in the description to the Dungeon page. Check that out if you must. Rock the like button with thrust if you must. Follow me in my own Facebook page for this channel. And so on and so forth if I haven't already said that. And hit the subscribe button. Click the notification bell for all. I do more than that. I also do reviews for movies, and which eventually I'm going to get to. Don't know when. I'm going to finally break the bug and, finally go to a movie theater, which is what's going to have to happen, but it seems it's going to be a bitch, even more of a bitch than I thought. And eventually with albums, which I'm about to work on something that's somewhat works for Schmoedown related. Yeah, ignore that part, but see you. Take care, y'all. Schmoedown still rocks, baby. And I can't wait for things to be live again.